Every aspect of the oil and gas industry involves a high level of technology. Now, from exploration, exploitation or production, transportation and refining, even sales to the consumers. Ironically, each day that passes, the technology in the industry keeps improving. In Nigeria, the Department of Petroleum Resources has on its own improved tremendously on the technology used for their oversight functions in the country's oil and gas industry, and the technology is in conformity with the international standards. Within the department, this responsibility falls on the Engineering and Standards Division. The question is, how does the division carry out this enormous responsibility? Please wait. After our usual tidbit in the oil and gas industry around the globe, I'll be giving you pretty more. And Sulaiman Alede, welcome. The Senate Committee on Gas has applauded the efforts of the Department of Petroleum Resources, DPR, on its technological innovation to control and monitor activities in the Nigerian oil and gas industry. The committee was on its annual oversight function to the Department of Petroleum Resources office in Lagos. The visit was also in preparation for the department's coming budget defense. The chairman of the Senate Committee on Gas, Senator Albert Bassi Akpan, however, stressed the need for the department to be well prepared for the defense of the budget, as Nigerians would like to see statistics and numbers with respect to gas flood and other happenings in the gas subsector of the oil and gas industry.
One of the key areas that we have discussed is the issue of the 5% VAT that's applicable to locally produced LPG. If I go to Benin Republic and import, I pay no VAT, and we cannot compete. And we are still trying to deepen the use of LPG in the domestic market. So these are some of the collaborations that the oversight has thrown up.
The Deputy Director of Corporate Services, the Department of Petroleum Resources, Alhaji Ahmed Shakur, who represented the Director, Mr. Mordecai Ladan, presented some of the achievements and challenges facing the department to the Senate Committee.
The chairman is opening remarks, raised a lot of issues that borders on gas flaring, gas to power, gas to energy, and then of course the new policy on gas monetization. All those things are embedded in our presentation.
There was a visual and technical presentation to the committee by the department. Iran's President Hassan Rouhani has remained defiant despite newly imposed U.S. sanctions, saying the nation will continue to sell oil and proudly break the sanctions. The sanctions, which target its oil, banking and shipping sectors, were imposed by U.S. to force Iran back to the negotiation table for a new nuclear deal. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo claims more than 20 nations have reduced the purchase of Iran's oil, and its exports have fallen by over 1 million barrels a day. Trump also says the 2015 Iran nuclear deal is the worst ever negotiated. Meanwhile, there are plans in Europe to set up, in a matter of months, a special clearinghouse that will enable European companies which trade with Iran bypass the newly imposed sanctions. This move is to reward Tehran for expanding business with Europe as part of its 2015 nuclear deal. Uganda expects to start producing oil in 2021, a year later than initially planned, and its refinery should be up and running by 2023. That's according to the Minister Irene Muloni. She said this at a conference in Cape Town, South Africa. She also said France's Total is an investor in Uganda's oil fields, with China's Sinopec and Britain's Tullow Oil. In April, Uganda signed a deal with a consortium, including a subsidiary of General Electric, to build and operate a 60,000 barrel per day refinery that will cost about $3 to $4 billion. The oil minister said the refinery should be operational by 2023. Uganda discovered crude reserves more than 10 years ago, but the start of production has been repeatedly delayed by disagreements with field operators over Texas development strategy. Uganda initially said it would not produce oil until the refinery will complete. But its timetable is now being driven by a planned export pipeline that will snake across neighboring Tanzania. Total has indicated it is willing to partly fund the project.
This is a special announcement from the Department of Petroleum Resources. Gas is safe. Gas cylinders are to be kept outside. If you're buying LPG cylinder, look for NIS number on the cylinder. Exchange of gas cylinders with retailers during purchase is best practice instead of refilling from another cylinder. Buy gas from certified LPG plant. Repairing faulty gas cylinders is unsafe. For more information, visit the nearest DPR office or our website www.dpr.gov.ng.
Engineering and standards are a very wide and complex area of study. However, the core ones are mechanical, chemical, civil, and even electrical. Now, within these key areas are other subdivisions in engineering. One thing you may be wondering is how the Department of Petroleum Resources has been able to assemble some of the best brains in this highly specialized field to man the Nigerian oil and gas industry. Well, you'll soon find out after this report.
Engineering is defined as the creative application of science, mathematical methods, and empirical evidence to the innovation, design, construction, operation, and maintenance of structures, machines, materials, devices, systems, processes, and organizations for the benefit of mankind. The discipline of engineering encompasses a broad range of more specialized fields, each with a more specific emphasis on particular areas of applied mathematics, applied science, and various types of application. Engineering has existed for a long time. It dates back to when man devised inventions such as the wedges, lever, wheels, and pulley. The term engineering is from the word engineer and is many centuries old. The word engine is derived from the Latin word ingenium, meaning innate quality, especially mental power, hence a clever invention. Engineering is a broad discipline which is broken down into several sub-disciplines. These include chemical, civil, structural, electrical, and mechanical engineering. Within these major disciplines are other sub-disciplines, including petroleum, microfabrication, biomolecule, and environmental engineering. Others include electronics, computer, information, automotive, software, and so many others. In the Department of Petroleum Resources, there is a division ensuring that all the engineering and standards required in the oil and gas industry in Nigeria are maintained. It is called Engineering and Standards Division, better known as E&S Division. The division is staffed with highly motivated human resources you can find anywhere in the industry. The Engineering and Standards Division's core mission is the administration and licensing of oil and gas surface facilities and projects in Nigeria. This is to ensure safety of personnel and the environment, ensure asset integrity, and also make sure that the nation's hydrocarbon production is carried optimally in line with the federal government's aspirations. These are done through the utilization of applicable Nigerian laws, the department's guidelines, and the industry's codes and standards. The other means include participatory monitoring of project activities from concept through design, fabrication, and installation to commissioning, evaluation of engineering submissions, participation in engineering design and technical reviews, as well as grant applicable licenses and approvals.
The DPR regulatory function to make sure things are done right from the beginning to the end of the project. The same thing with refinery. We have staff, we make sure whatever they do, we give them approval when they are qualified based on this qualification of all their approval, and we participate in all the projects. Make sure things are done according to international standard and local standard.
The ENS also works towards achieving the federal government's aspiration of increasing the country's oil and gas production and refining capacity, improving the availability of natural gas for domestic consumption, and deriving maximum value from Nigeria's abundant natural gas resources. It implements the fertilizer master plan that may position Nigeria as the largest producer of fertilizer in Africa.
Government is talking about agriculture and food sufficiency, and that's why you find out there's a Dangote is coming up with a fertilizer plant in free trade zone, and Indorama too already commissioned one train of their fertilizer plant. These are plants that are fed by gas.
Against the backdrop of these enormous functions, the Engineering and Standards Division of the Department of Petroleum Resources is divided into 3 strong units, better known as branches. They are 1. Facilities Branch, 2. Standards, Conformity, Assessment and Technological Adaptation Branch, and 3. The Information Communications Technology ICT Branch. The Facility Branch evaluates oil and gas production, processing, transportation, and metering configuration adequacy, and grants all necessary approvals for them. The branch also devises, adopts, and maintains library of applicable standards and industry requirements for oil and gas facilities and validation plan.
Oil facility, in the well, normally in the conventional well, you first of all get oil. Then after oil, you see gas. So the transmission take care of the transportation, metering arrangement, and everything that come from it. Oil is in charge. Oil facility take care of projects that are oil related. Plus those from the production facilities to the treatment and oil and gas export. Then including refineries. Refineries under oil facilities too. Then gas facility encompasses gas business, what's up to gas from the production facilities to the distribution line. Then the facility that treat them like LPG facilities, gas plant facilities and others.
The branch also administers reliable industry database for all facilities, evaluates the technical adequacy of oil and gas pipelines infrastructure's configuration, and finally, it administers all oil and gas pipelines projects engineering and grants all permits to survey pipeline and pipeline licenses. The Standards, Conformity Assessment and Technology Adaptation Branch is a new addition to the Engineering and Standards Division of the Department of Petroleum Resources.
The Standard Conformity Assessment and Technology Adaptation, this is the first time DPR management decided to create this particular branch, looking at everything started with standard. Standard is the foundation, and standard determine the cost, it determine the quality, it determine everything. Prior to this time, the former engineering and standard is actually engineering standard. But the current management of DPR decided to give a broader view and to be in line with the best international practice.
The branch harmonizes, streamlines, and optimizes the use of relevant local and international standards to meet the delivery of oil and gas facilities.
We don't create standard as regulators, but we optimize standard. Standards are created by standard development organizations, standard development houses, trade associations, practices. So to allow the industry to compete and to grow and to have best buy in the market, you have to use as many standards as possible.
It also assesses new technologies, emerging trends, and novel solutions for adaptation in the Nigerian oil and gas industry. The branch also revises, updates, and coordinates the review of procedure. It coordinates the review of procedure guides and guidelines for oil and gas facilities.
As DPR, we do intelligence to know which technology will be best that will reduce costs and improve profitability in the industry. We look for that technology, we review it, we decompose it to see whether it is applicable to our nation and to the industry, and we recommend for either to be adopted or to be used. And if you look at it now from the establishment of standards and conformity assessment, the last time you hear about kerosene explosion, it has gone. The last time you see a car knocking on the road, it has gone. So many things before. Euro 4 has so many, you don't even know what is it, because it's ethyl and so many other additives that will enhance the volume, not the quality. But now, the impact you see, we are on Euro 9, and Euro 9 is the standard is the top standards now worldwide, which Nigeria is using now.
The Engineering and Standards Division of the Department of Petroleum Resources is one of the most important divisions in the department, which ensures that equipments or facilities used in the Nigerian oil and gas industry are of high quality, commensurate to international standards.
Well, I told you the stuff these experts in the Department of Petroleum Resources are made of. It's time to hand you over to my colleague Antonia Amusu for an elaborate interview with the Deputy Director and Head of the Engineering and Standards Division of the Department of Petroleum Resources, Engineer Ibidun Towe.
Today we are at the Engineering and Standards Division of the Department of Petroleum Resources, and we will be discussing with Engineer Mrs. Towe Ibidun, who is the head of this division. Mrs. Towe, you are most welcome to this segment of the program.
Thank you very much.
So as the head of the Engineering and Standards Division of DPR, we'd just like to find out from you, what role does this division play in the oil and gas industry?
Engineering and Standards Division, as the name implies, handles the statutory regulations and monitoring of all issues relating to engineering design, fabrication, construction, installation, up onto commissioning of all oil and gas facilities in Nigeria. We also develop and update petroleum industry standards for all oil and gas handling facilities. We provide data management services. We create, we manage and maintain appropriate electronic solutions to support DPR regulatory and routine work processes. To mention but a few, we also accredit oil and gas service providers nationwide.
So what would you say this division has accomplished? Maybe in the last...
Let's even start with, how do we interface with the industry? Okay. We, as a division, on behalf of the department, we oversee the engineering aspects of all oil and gas facilities in the country, from concept to commissioning. And this entails concept selection from the engineering design, detail engineering design, fabrication, construction, installation, pre-commissioning and commissioning, up onto startup of operations, in the country. Basically, we ensure that all oil and gas handling facilities are fit for purpose and application of best engineering practice in the country.
So what do you have in place to carry out these functions that you have enumerated? What do you have in place?
We have tools. We have formidable engineering team that's deployed to work on projects, and we've been able to achieve a lot even in the course of doing that, because we attach our young engineers to monitor most of the engineering and facility projects. And one of the key things we've been able to achieve doing that, at least currently, we're able to deliver the Egina FPSO. We are also able to approve the Oben gas plant with a capacity of about 468 barrels of oil per day. We are also able to get the metering facility systems to achieve the custody transfer purpose with the use of Coriolis and ultrasonic meters. And recently also we granted the license to establish the Nigerian liquefied natural gas. This has also helped to give them the decision of the FID, which was held just about a month ago in the UK. And just yesterday, a formidable team of engineers kicked off with the project team in their project office in Lagos yesterday. Okay.
I'd like to go back to some of your key roles and functions. Considering the dynamic role of change in technology and things like that, how is DPR, your division, able to keep up with the emerging trends and the changing trends in technology for you to be able to really pretend over these major oil companies in their engineering and all sorts?
We've been able to deploy real-time national production monitoring system to at least 6 export terminals, including all Shell facilities. And we have the terminals are the Bonga, the Focados, the Agbami, Akpo, EA, Boni, and they have been on a real-time basis, and it's been a very success story.
Okay, well, what would you say you find most challenging in this, your division, in being able to keep up with what is happening in the oil and gas industry?
We are very dynamic, and we have the applicable tools that we use to enhance our job better.
So are you saying you don't have some challenges that are so daunting?
I can't really mention anyone now because we are up to date with our technology. We have a formidable team. We have 3 branches in the division, namely the facility, oil and gas facility branch, transmission and metering. We also have the scatter. The scatter branch entails standards, conformity assessment, technology adaptation. So we are very much, dynamic when it comes to technology acceptability. And then we have the infrastructure and the communication technology branch, which is also supports all the data management systems of the department. We've been very much up to date with that.
And that's nice to hear, so that you are on top of your game. That is really interesting. So I would like to find out from you, what would you say are the major ongoing projects that will significantly impact on the country's oil and crude oil production?
Presently, we are working on a Gina FPSO. In fact, it's one of the success stories because we managed the project right from the concept section of it up until the time it's at the integration yard of the Lador. We are very prideful of it. We have the Monga Southwest Aquaro, which is ongoing. Then we have the Zaba. This one will give us potential addition of about 578,000 barrels of oil per day to the nation's crude production.
Well, this is engineering and is a little technical. Well, you've been talking and throwing some of these words to us, especially this, your major project that you're so proud of. Can you tell us a little bit more about it?
Okay, from the concept side of it, our engineers were very much on ground. We followed up the project from South Korea. We did most of the build FPSO integration, topside. And our engineers sailed with the same FPSO up to the Lador yard. It was a very formidable progress we made on that, and it's been a success story all along.
So are you involved in fertilizer plants too?
Yes, we are, especially those ones that use natural gas as feedstock. The department licenses such projects. And such we have the, currently now we have the 2.5 Dangote urea fertilizer manufacturing plant situated in Lekki, the free trade zone area. We are looking forward to that. Presently, the 1.4 million tons per annum of Indorama gas fertilizer plant was commissioned last year, and is also having additional train to expand the capacity. You must enjoy this job, don't you? Definitely.
On that note, Junior Mrs. Chewe, we want to thank you for your time and educating us about what engineering and standards division of the DPR, what it's all about and what you do in the oil and gas industry. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
My duty on this program is to continuously expose to you the enormous responsibility the Department of Petroleum Resources shoulders to see to the smooth running of the country's oil and gas industry. I've come to the end of today's edition of your show. The program DPR, the Petroleum Industry Regulator. Join me next week Thursday at the same time, the same station. Goodbye.